Hello everybody, welcome to Woo Art. Today we're gonna learn how to make a poisonous explosion effect. We'll use a custom shader and some textures for this tutorial. You can download them from the link I put into the description panel. Okay, if you're ready, let's start right now. Firstly, make an object for splashing effect. Create a cylinder. Place it in the center. We don't need multiple segments for its height. So what we're gonna make with this are these splashes. The idea is like this. Increase its height at the beginning and decrease it later. And increase its length and width over time. Then it'll look like splashing from the center. So let's make the object for that. The top part should be bigger than the bottom. We only need a part of the side meshes, so delete the rest of them. The UV map also needs to be adjusted. Alright, it's very simple. Export it and move on to Unity. Put every resource you got from the link I mentioned earlier into the asset folder. Create the material for a gas particle. You can find this custom shader from the assets. I'm going to explain how it works. This shader uses RGB channels of a texture separately. Red channel as a mask and green and blue channels for noises. Let's put the gas texture into the slot. This texture consists of different images for each channel. G and B channels are seamless and it'll move by default. You can change the speed and the density. I'll show you later. And this noise will be masked by the image in the R channel. Okay, let's see how it works. Firstly, create a particle system for a container. Create another one for the gas. Use this material for it. They are super tiny now. Let's change the direction and the size. You can see that the noise moves within the R channels area. To make it work properly, we need to add a custom data. Add the 80%. Then you can see that they disappear over time. This shader has some properties. We can change the intensity of the alpha, change the speed of noise, and change its density. The concept is fairly simple, so if you are familiar with the shader graph or any other visual scripting plugins than writing the code directly, you can recreate this on your own. Okay, let's get back to the particle setting. Change its emission type. Vary the lifetime from 0.6 to 1.5. Vary the size from 12 to 24. To 20 would be better. And vary the rotation as well. From 0 to 360. The start speed should be diverse as well. The gas emits from the explosion, so it should be decelerated quickly. Turn on the limit velocity over lifetime. The speed should be 0. Go to the shape setting. Adjust the angle, the radius, and I'm gonna make it emit from the volume rather than the base. Okay, cool. Let's rotate particles slightly. Nice, it looks much better. Increase the size a bit and give a negative gravity. I'm gonna animate its scale to give a feeling of expanding. Okay, the next thing to do is changing the color. And I'm gonna add one more yellowish gradient. Copy the existing gradient and paste it. Adjust the second gradient color. Okay, this is the effect with the normal play speed. It's nice, but let's adjust a little bit more, make it bigger, boost its alpha a bit more. Make it remain a little bit longer. Cool, move on to the splash. Change the duration. Rotate it. I'm going to use mesh mode for this. Take out the mesh and make material. This material also needs the custom data, 80%. Okay, we can't see anything now. Let's change the shading mode. Then you can see tiny little particles. Scale them up. Now we can recognize them, but they still look wrong. It's 2x2 sprite seed, so turn on the texture seed animation. Change the render alignment to world. Okay, it's better. Let's change other settings one by one. Firstly, make it burst. It doesn't require speed. Actually, you don't need to rotate this particle system, because we are going to rotate each particle like this. You should vary the Y rotation. Change back the shading mode. Adjust the texture seed setting. We're going to use the 3D start size. Change the lifetime. Okay, next is the most important thing, animating scale. We're going to separate axes and animate them differently. The actual axis would be different depending on your mesh setting, but the idea is the same as what I said before. Increase the height and decrease it later. The width and the length increase over time, but you should increase them drastically at the beginning, because it's about explosion. By the way, you can see the number on the left top corner of the curves window. You can adjust the scale of a graph by changing it. Okay, now it looks like splashes. Let's vary the size. It's nice, but the texture doesn't feel strong enough. Okay, it's time to deal with the color. This is in the normal play speed. Yeah, it's looking better. Let's adjust the overall setting before moving on. Exaggerate the movement. Would be nice to adjust the size as well. Okay, let's move on to the splatters on the ground. Create a new material for it. We're going to use the alpha blended shader. The texture has 4 different types of splatters. Change the render mode to mesh and choose the quad mesh. Turn on the texture seed animation. This is 4x1 sprite seed, so the setting would be like this. It doesn't require speed. Change the render alignment to world. Check the 3D start rotation checkbox and rotate it. Randomize the Y rotation. Since these are splatters, I'm going to stretch it vertically. We need to change each particle's pivot. If you put 0.5 into the Y value, the pivot will move to the bottom end of the mesh. Yeah, now it looks like a splatter. We're going to animate its scale to make it look like liquid on the ground. If this is liquid, it should be expanding after the first blast. We don't need to animate the Z scale though, so make it flat. I'm going to animate its X scale slightly slower than Y scale, because the Y scale should be exaggerated the most to make the impactful blast. The movement of X scale will give the fair enough feeling of expanding. Let's vary its size. Nice, it's time to change the color. I'm going to use slightly darker and colder colors for the splatters. This is the base effect for everything else, so shouldn't be too bright. And in this case, we need to animate its alpha value as well. Okay, make another gradient color. Cool, adjust the size a bit. I want to adjust its pivot slightly to gather them into the center. Yeah, it's better. The gas feels weak, let's adjust it a bit. And the splash feels weak as well. Okay, looking better. Let's add some small splatters with a brighter color. They should be emitted in a certain area, so change the shape to circle. We don't need a 3D start size option for it. Change the setting of the shape. I want it to disappear before the base splatter, so shorten the lifetime. Brighten the color. Decrease the particle count. We don't need to animate the scale for this. I want to make sure that these splatters always draw on top of the base splatters. So change its sorting value. Put a bigger value into the base one. And change the gas emitter's sorting value as well. Cool, let's adjust the overall setting before moving on. Yeah, it's enough. Let's add some droplets. We made similar effects in the previous videos, so I believe that you already know what to do. It shoots the particles upwards and they fall back to the ground because of gravity. Make a material for droplets with the additive shader. We're going to use stretched wheelboard for each render mode. Change the length scale value to 1 and put a small number into the speed scale. Change this to volume. Set the proper speed and turn on the limit velocity over lifetime. It needs gravity. Let's make it emit broader. Alright, move on to the color. We are using the additive shader, so don't need to touch the alpha value. Shorten the life a little. Decrease the maximum speed. And move the emitter slightly upwards. Cool, and duplicate the splatter small emitter. We're gonna make splatters of droplets. Increase the shape size and decrease the thickness. These splatters should appear when the droplets fall on the ground, so give a bit of delay. But the problem is, every particle appears at the same time right now, because it uses the burst emission. Turn the burst off and control it with a curve. If you modify the curve like this, the particles will appear within a short period of time only. Much better? The splatters are quite big now. Let's decrease the size a little. Okay, cool. Let's add one last thing. I'm gonna add a short flash at the beginning. It'll enhance the impact of the explosion. Make a material with the additive shader. We don't need the shape for it. A single particle is enough. Put a very short lifetime. No speed. Turn on the 3D start size. Okay, make it draw in front of AfterEffects. Yep, cool. Change the color over time. This is in the normal play speed. Oh, it's already looking good. Let's do the final adjustment. I want to improve the lingering feeling. Lengthen some effects lifetime. The big bottom splatters feel a bit pale. Adjust the color a bit. Okay, cool, it's completed now. It looks nice, isn't it? I hope you've learned many things from this video. Alright, this is the end for this tutorial. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe to my channel. I'll be back with more interesting videos. See you then. Bye!